Having the best-selling, most capable big-bore ATV of all time has its advantages. But it's also thrown down a challenge to the competition, and they've responded with an all-out assault on the Grizzly's dominant position.
Every major ATV manufacturer has its own big bore that they claim can outperform the Grizzly. They weren't competing with the all-new Grizzly 700 Fi with power steering, which has taken a huge quantum leap to outdistance the competition all over again.
That's why we went out of our way to take on the competition's best of the best, top-line models from every other brand.
Honda's Rincon 675, Suzuki's King Quad 700, Polaris's Sportsman 800 EFI, Can-Am's Outlander 800 HO EFI, Kawasaki's Brute Force 750i. And then there's the Arctic Cat 700 EFI Automatic.
They're all worthy machines, the best each manufacturer has to offer. Some have bigger engines, some cost a lot more than the Grizzly. They all have a tough, aggressive appearance. But what happens when you go past the surface?
When you look under the skin of these tough-looking machines, you'll quickly see that the Grizzly 700 Fi has lengthened Yamaha's lead over the competition. Let's start with Grizzly features that can't be found on any other of these ATVs. Like Yamaha's industry-first electric power steering, or EPS. This system is a world's first design. No one's ever put power steering into an ATV before. If you've ridden any of the big bores, you know that these heavyweights require a lot of effort to steer, especially at low speeds and in four-wheel drive. Grizzly's EPS dramatically reduces steering effort by incorporating an electric motor assist that's controlled by multiple sensors. A unique torsion bar and potentiometer work together to sense directional changes. When the steering angle changes, an electronic control unit enables the electric motor to boost steering assist up to 50%. A speed sensor monitors how fast the vehicle is moving, so it can automatically adjust the level of assist. Less when you're going fast, more when you're going slow. Whether you're riding fast on flat ground or slogging through rough terrain in full four-wheel drive, EPS delivers just the right amount of assist for a confidence-inspiring ride and comfort that you have to feel to truly appreciate. A true technological revolution that no other ATV can offer.
Okay, now let's take a look inside another Yamaha exclusive, the durable, reliable, and proven ULTRAMATIC automatic transmission system.
The key design feature here is the centrifugal clutch that allows the belt to remain tight against the belt sheaves with no slippage when the engine is idling. As RPMs increase, the centrifugal clutch expands, which causes the clutch shoes to push against the outer metal housing, re-engaging the belt system in a smooth, non-stressful manner. On most Grizzly competitors, the belt sheaves separate to the point that the belt slips. Every time you accelerate, the belt slips until enough friction builds up for it to catch, at which point it suddenly engages. Both that friction and sudden snapping tight cause wear and tear on the belt.
This might explain why competitor ATVs warn you not to operate at low RPMs in high range, because the belt is constantly slipping and wearing out. You won't have this problem with Yamaha's centrifugal clutch.
The ULTRAMATIC transmission has a one-way sprag clutch that takes over when the centrifugal clutch disengages. For example, decelerating at low RPMs or going down a hill. The sprag clutch maintains the positive connection between the engine and the wheels that allows the engine to function as a powerful brake. Some competitors disengage the belt at very low RPMs, allowing the engine to freewheel. You're essentially coasting until you apply enough engine RPMs to re-engage the drive belt. And on the Polaris, even when you do get the engine braking to engage, it's only on the rear wheels. Kawasaki uses an electric motor that automatically re-engages the belt at a specified RPM. Either way, the ATV loses engine braking or intermittently applies engine braking on and off. Which would you rather have? Engine braking that works some of the time or all the time?
And Kawasaki recommends that owners have the belt serviced every 90 days or 100 hours. Not exactly a low-maintenance design. Now let's look at another exclusive Grizzly feature, on-command four-wheel drive. Here's how it works.
When you're riding in low-demand terrain, you can operate in two-wheel drive. If the terrain gets more demanding, you can engage limited-slip four-wheel drive at the push of a button.
Now this is right about where most other ATVs leave off. But when you're riding a Grizzly, you have another weapon in your arsenal.
Four-wheel differential lock mechanically links all four wheels together. It's impossible to spin one tire without the others turning. This feature sets Grizzly apart from most of the competitive ATVs out there. It gives you, the rider, complete command over your environment, the ability to conquer obstacles that stop other ATVs in their tracks. No freewheeling, just maximum engine power on all four wheels, all at the same time.
Now let's compare on-command to the competitors. Polaris offers a system they call on-demand, which on the surface sounds like it's as capable as the Grizzly. Let's put the Polaris on-demand system to the test in a real-world environment.
First, the Polaris system is electrical, not mechanical like the Grizzlies, so it's more susceptible to damage. The rear wheels have to lose traction before the front wheels engage. So in other words, you have to lose before you can gain. Basically, the machine is making the decisions, not you. Just watch how it affects the sportsman's performance.
And there's more. The Polaris Owner's Manual instructs riders not to engage the four-wheel drive until the machine drops below 3,100 RPM.
Basically, what this means is that you can push the button and assume you're in four-wheel drive operation, but in reality, the system won't engage until the engine drops below 3,100 RPM. Once again, the machine does the thinking for you. Also, because of the limitations of its design, the Sportsman's so-called engine braking is only effective on the rear wheels. Here's more news. For 2007, you can only get this feature if you pay an additional $700 for the Sportsman Deluxe Edition. As Dirt Wheels pointed out in its Big Bore Shootout, downhill engine braking was a big factor in the outcome of its test. Yamaha couldn't agree more. That's why all-wheel engine braking is standard on all of its four-wheel drive ATVs.
Honda's Rincon offers its torque sensing system. Sounds cool, but how well does it work?
Well, for starters, it's really a three-wheel drive system, and it doesn't even offer four-wheel differential lock. Next, though the drive shaft of the front wheels disengages for two-wheel drive operation, the drive case between the two front wheels remains connected. So for the Rincon's front wheels to be able to turn independently, they have to overcome the friction in the drive case. This makes for heavy steering even in two-wheel drive mode and affects the Rincon's ability to maintain a straight line, causing it to wander on trails. With the Grizzly's on-command system, when you're in two-wheel drive, that's all that's happening. End of story. Now, when the going gets tough, the Rincon system is supposed to sense wheel slippage and apply torque to the wheel that's got the most traction. But what we observed is that the opposite happens. The wheel that's spinning gets more torque, while the wheel with traction doesn't pull. Go figure. Even with the torque sensing system fully engaged, the most you're ever going to get from a Rincon is three-wheel drive. When you tell the Grizzly to pull with all four wheels, you get exactly that.
Can-Am has a feature called Visco Lock. Similar to Honda's three-wheel drive, this system uses hydraulic pressure to drive each wheel,
as opposed to the Grizzly's fully mechanical system that creates a solid connection between the motor and the ground.
Similar to other competitors, BRP's system requires the machine to decide when it's time to operate, not the rider.
You see, the Outlander's hydraulic system has to build pressure by spinning one of the front wheels before it will apply additional pressure to the opposing wheel. But when the going gets really rough, that wheel will never fully lock. When you look at it in the real world, you can easily see how difficult it is to control the machine because the power is turned on, then off, then on again. And they've located the shifter on the right side of the machine, so you can't operate it without removing your hand from the throttle. This same flaw is also designed into the Polaris and Kawasaki machines.
The brute force claims to have a differential lock,
but it's engaged by a wire cable and clutch pack inside of the front differential. And Kawasaki's system only operates when you pull back the diff lock lever on the handlebars. If you want diff lock to stay on, you'd better not let go of that lever. And if you let up on that grip even slightly, the diff lock disengages. And when do you need it most? When the going is really rough and your need for a tight grip on the handlebars is highest. When you look at it up close, you can see how vulnerable this system is to being knocked out of adjustment. The cable can stretch and the clutch pack can wear out. The Grizzly's precise mechanical operation works when you want it to, and at the touch of a button. And its low-maintenance design will keep on working whenever and wherever you need it.
Now let's talk about engine power.
Grizzly is powered by a 686cc 4-valve electronically fuel-injected engine. Multiple sensors constantly monitor air pressure, ambient temperature, and fuel-air mix, so it runs great at almost any altitude. Starts easily in almost any temperature, and delivers smooth, confident power in virtually any riding situation. Its durable design includes roller rocker arms, which provide much less friction for a quieter engine. It utilizes a ceramic composite cylinder for increased durability and better heat distribution, versus some of the competitors that use steel liners that are both heavier and more prone to wear. Its direct drive line doesn't require U-joints, which can wear out over time and also promotes smoother, more vibration-free operation. The engine also has rubber mounts and a counterbalancer, again to reduce vibration for a smoother, comfortable ride.
Now, we're not going to try and fool you. Several big-bore ATVs have engines that are, in fact, larger than the Grizzlies.
Both Polaris and Can-Am offer twin engines, but at a significant price in terms of overall weight and maintenance. Despite its somewhat larger size, the brute force engine utilizes a carburetor, which requires readjustment at higher altitudes and can't provide the kind of all-weather starting capability and fuel economy that the Grizzly's fuel-injected engine does. And you know that it's not just how much power your engine can put out, it's how much power you can deliver to the wheels and how well you can control that power. That's 155 extra pounds you have to muscle through corners without power steering. 133 pounds you have to pull over rocks and logs. 37 additional pounds you have to push up and down hills.
When you're done with a long day's ride, your arms and your back will thank you for riding a Grizzly. Now let's check out another Grizzly exclusive feature that puts Grizzly's four-wheel independent suspension in a class by itself: wide arc A-arms. Their unique design employs A-arms that arc upward from their lowest point at the wheel to the main frame. Preload adjustable shocks are located on the lower A-arms, keeping weight as low as possible on the four-wheel independent suspension. What this means is less weight up high for a lower center of mass, which adds up to more confident handling. The main benefit of the wide arc design is ground clearance. Lots of it.
Every one of these competitors make big claims on ground clearance. And if you measure from the highest clearance point to the ground, they're all somewhat accurate.
But what happens when you're out in the field crossing obstacles like rocks, logs, and shelves?
What you'll see and feel when you ride the Grizzly is a usable ground clearance that no other ATV can match. With wide arc, you can take multiple lines up a trail without having to worry about centering your machine on every obstacle. And Grizzly's front and rear ground clearance are almost identical, so if your front A-arm clears, you can be sure the rear A-arm won't hang up.
Now let's look at another key design feature that sets Grizzly apart from the rest of the big-bore ATV crowd. When Yamaha's engineers were searching for ways to improve Grizzly's handling, they looked at one of the most prominent features on the vehicle, the fuel tank. They decided to lower that weight up to 40 pounds of the full tank of fuel down into the frame rails, lowering its center of mass. Some of the other manufacturers sort of thought this through, but for some reason, they shifted it off to the side, which then creates a weight imbalance. If you're one of those hands-on types, you're going to really appreciate the simplicity and serviceability that's designed into the Grizzly. First, getting at the air filter is a simple process. And Yamaha uses a high-quality foam air filter that can be repeatedly cleaned for a longer life.
And the oil filter is a simple spin-on design, similar to automotive applications, making it easier to do your own maintenance.
The Grizzly's air intakes are mounted as high as possible on the machine, helping to protect them from water intrusion in even the most extreme situations.
On the Outlander, you have to remove 2 separate covers to get to the air filter. And it uses a paper element with a foam cover.
If it should happen to get wet, it's useless, and you'll need to replace it. And just look where the Outlander's belt intake is located. Down low, where water and mud can get in. If this happens, you're in big trouble, because the Outlander's belt housing doesn't even have a drain plug. Oh, and the belt exhaust is even lower. The Rincon also has a low-mounted air intake.
Arctic Cat uses a high-quality foam air filter, similar to the Grizzly's. But look at what you discover when you pull off the seat, a loose collection of exposed wires.
Suzuki's paper air filter is less than ideal for off-road use. And here's another flaw we discovered. The CVT exhaust is mounted in such a way that if you're pulling out of water, this outlet can be vulnerable. Polaris likes to talk about its tough reputation, but there is nothing tough about this paper filter. If it gets wet, you might as well throw it away and get another one. And if it gets wet when you're miles from home, you're out of luck. Polaris, more than any other manufacturer, relies heavily on electronics. They're all-wheel drive, FI, and instrumentation. So what about dangling wires above the rear tire? Exposed and unsealed wire connectors? Obviously, Polaris considers this to be a quality electrical system. Well, when you're out in the middle of nowhere, is this the kind of quality you want to rely on? Compare that to the Grizzly. No dangling wires, marine-grade sealed electrical connectors, a tight, well-routed electrical system. 2 standards of quality. Which would you want to rely on?
Now let's look at one more Yamaha advantage, the exclusive Secure Mount accessory system. Yamaha offers a wide array of accessories that are designed and engineered to be a perfect fit for both the Grizzly and your individual needs. The Secure Mount system bolts firmly onto the Grizzly's frame, allowing you to change accessories at will with a rock-solid fit. Compare that to the accessories offered by Polaris and Arctic Cat. Polaris's accessories clip in with expanding rubber plugs. It may be quick, but it's far from secure. As this rubber gets wet or ages, the less secure it becomes. Arctic Cat accessories plug into these plastic-lined receivers. If this plastic piece breaks or gets lost, your accessories rattle and bang around. So, whether you're looking for performance, handling, ease of operation, dependability and reliability, serviceability, or functionality,
You've just seen dozens of real-world ways that Grizzly still dominates the big bore ATV category. We'll offer even more proof in our head-to-head brand comparison rides. But the best way to prove it to yourself is to get on a Grizzly and ride. Then get on the competitors and ride. Put them through their paces. You'll have all the proof you need that the Grizzly is positively the best, most balanced, highest performing big bore ever built.